Evangelii Gaudium Chapter 4. The social dimension of evangelization. What if faith was never meant to stay inside a church? What if Christianity was never meant to be something we practice only on Sundays? What if following Jesus was not only about what we say in prayer, but about what we do every single day? Pope Francis reminds us of a truth that can change everything. The gospel is not just something we believe. It is something we live. Because real faith does not stay safe. Real faith does not stay silent. Real faith does not look away from suffering. Real faith moves. Real faith serves. Real faith loves. We live in a world where faith is often treated as something private. Something quiet. Something personal. My prayer. My belief. My relationship with God. But Jesus never called us to a faith that stops with ourselves. He called us to a faith that reaches others. Because when Jesus spoke about the kingdom of God, he showed us a different kind of world. A world where love is greater than power. Where mercy is greater than judgment. Where service is greater than status. Where people are more important than wealth. A world where the poor are not ignored. Where the weak are not forgotten. Where the broken are not left behind. This is what Pope Francis calls the social dimension of evangelization. Faith that becomes love in action. Faith that becomes justice. Faith that becomes compassion. Because Jesus did not just preach love. He showed it. He touched the untouchable. He welcomed the rejected. He defended the forgotten. He fed the hungry. He healed the broken. And if we truly follow him, we must do the same. Because the world does not need more opinions. The world needs more love. The world does not need more arguments. The world needs more mercy. The world does not need more noise. The world needs more witnesses. Because sometimes the only gospel people will ever see is the way we treat each other. So maybe the real question is not, do you believe in Jesus? Maybe the real question is, does your life look like his? Because faith is not only about reaching heaven. Faith is about bringing God's love into this world. One act of kindness. One act of courage. One act of mercy. One act of love at a time. This is our mission. This is our calling. This is the gospel alive. Part 1. God's heart for people. At the center of the gospel is not an idea, not a rule, not a system, but people. Real people. With real struggles. Real wounds. Real fears. Real hopes. People searching for meaning. People carrying silent pain. People trying to survive another day. Pope Francis reminds us of something simple but powerful. We cannot truly love God if we do not love others. Because love of God and love of neighbor are inseparable. You cannot divide them. You cannot separate them. You cannot choose one and ignore the other. You cannot say, I love God, but people are not my concern. Because every person carries God's image. Not just the successful. Not just the good. Not just the people like us. But everyone. Especially the forgotten. Especially the rejected. Especially the poor. Especially those society pushes aside. Because the way we treat the most vulnerable reveals the truth about our faith. Jesus made this very clear. He did not say, whatever you did for the powerful, you did for me. He said, whatever you did for the least of my brothers and sisters, you did for me. That means Christ is present. In the hungry child. In the lonely elderly person. In the refugee. In the unemployed father. In the mother struggling to feed her family. In the person nobody notices. And this changes everything. Because faith is no longer just about prayer. It becomes about attention. It becomes about compassion. It becomes about responsibility. It becomes about love in action. Pope Francis challenges comfortable Christianity. A faith that feels safe, but never sacrifices. A faith that listens, but never responds. A faith that prays, but never serves. Because true faith always leads us outward. It opens our eyes. It softens our hearts. It moves our hands. It pushes us beyond indifference. Because indifference is one of the greatest dangers of our time. Getting used to suffering. Scrolling past pain. Ignoring injustice. Saying, "That is not my problem." But the gospel does not allow us to look away. The gospel invites us to see. To stop. To care. To respond. Because Christianity is not about asking, "Who is my neighbor?" Christianity is about becoming a neighbor. It is about becoming the person who stops. The person who listens. The person who helps. The person who loves when it is inconvenient. The person who cares when nobody is watching. Because love is not proven in comfort. Love is proven in sacrifice. Love is proven in attention. Love is proven in mercy. And this is God's heart. A heart that does not exclude. A heart that does not forget. A heart that does not give up on people. And if we want to be close to God, we must be close to what He loves. And God loves people. All people. Without exception. The world often measures people by success. By money. By status. By usefulness. But God measures differently. God sees dignity where the world sees weakness. God sees value where the world sees nothing. God sees a child where the world sees a problem. And the gospel invites us to see like God sees. Part 2, Faith that cares for the poor. One of the strongest messages Pope Francis gives is this. The poor are not a side issue in the gospel. They are central. Not as statistics. Not as projects. But as people. People we are called to love. Christianity without concern for the poor becomes decoration. Beautiful words. But empty. Because Jesus did not say, "Blessed are the comfortable." He said, "Blessed are the poor." Not because poverty is good, but because God is close to those who suffer. And Christians are called to be close too. The church is not meant to be distant from pain. The church must go where suffering exists. Into broken places. Into wounded lives. Into forgotten neighborhoods. Because the credibility of the gospel depends not only on what we say, but how we love. Pope Francis also warns about an economy without a human face. A system where profit matters more than people. Where success justifies indifference. Where the weak are left behind. He challenges us to ask, do our systems help people live with dignity? Or only help the powerful grow stronger? Because a society is judged by how it treats its weakest members. Part 3, No one is disposable. Modern culture often creates what Pope Francis calls a throwaway culture, where things are disposable. And sometimes, people are treated the same way. The elderly forgotten. The unborn rejected. The poor ignored. The struggling abandoned. But the gospel says something radical. No one is disposable. No life is useless. No person is without value. Every human life matters. Not because of what they produce. Not because of what they own. But because they are loved by God. And when Christians defend dignity, they are not being political. They are being faithful. Because protecting human dignity is part of the gospel itself. Part 4, Faith builds peace. Our world is full of division. Arguments. Ideological battles. Religious tensions. Social conflicts. Every day we see it. On the news. On social media. In politics. Even in our families. People choosing sides. People labeling each other. People speaking. But not listening. Everyone wants to be right. Few want to understand. And slowly, we forget how to see each other as human beings. But Pope Francis reminds us of something deeply needed today. Christians are called to be builders of peace. Not creators of enemies. Builders of bridges. Not walls. Because faith should never be used as a weapon. Faith should be a light. A force for healing. A path toward unity. Peace is not weakness. Peace is not avoiding problems. Peace is not pretending differences do not exist. Peace requires courage. The courage to stay calm when others attack. The courage to listen when it is easier to argue. The courage to respect when it is easier to judge. The courage to seek understanding instead of victory. Because winning arguments does not always win hearts. But love can. Dialogue is not the compromise of truth. Dialogue is respect for persons. Dialogue means saying, I may not agree with you, but I respect your dignity. Because every person deserves to be heard. Even when we disagree. Especially when we disagree. Because real peace is not built by people who think the same. It is built by people who choose to love despite differences. Pope Francis speaks often about the culture of encounter. A culture where we meet each other. Listen to each other. Learn from each other. Care about each other. Instead of building a culture of rejection. A culture of suspicion. A culture of fear. Because peace grows when people encounter each other as human beings. Not as labels. Not as categories. Not as enemies. But as brothers and sisters. Evangelization also means working for peace between religions. Between cultures. Between communities. Not through force. Not through pressure. But through friendship. Through respect. Through shared concern for humanity. Because when believers work together for justice. For the poor. For peace. The world begins to see what faith really looks like. Sometimes the strongest witness of faith is not preaching. It is cooperation. It is kindness. It is choosing peace when conflict is easier. Jesus himself showed us this path. He did not respond to hatred with hatred. He did not respond to violence with violence. He responded with truth. With mercy. With love. And he said, Blessed are the peacemakers. Not the powerful. Not the loudest. Not the most aggressive. But the peacemakers. Because peacemakers reflect the heart of God. Maybe peace does not start in governments. Maybe peace does not start in big agreements. Maybe peace starts with us. In how we speak. In how we listen. In how we treat those who think differently. Because every time we choose understanding instead of attack. Every time we choose patience instead of anger. Every time we choose love instead of division. We build peace. And this too is evangelization. Because a divided world does not need more noise. It needs witnesses of peace. And maybe the question today is not, who is right? Maybe the question is, who is willing to love first? Because faith does not just believe in peace. Faith builds peace. One conversation at a time. One act of respect at a time. One bridge at a time. Part 5. Every Christian is a missionary. Many people think changing the world is for leaders. For experts. For famous people. For those with power. For those with influence. For those with a big platform. But the gospel tells a very different story. The gospel tells us, you are part of the mission. Not because you are powerful. Not because you are perfect. Not because you are important in the eyes of the world, but because you can love. Because evangelization is not only preaching. It is not only microphones. It is not only pulpits. It is not only big stages. Evangelization is living in a way that makes God's love visible. In simple ways. In quiet ways. In everyday moments. In your family. In your workplace. In your neighborhood. In your daily life. That is where your mission begins. Not someday. Not somewhere else. But right where you are. God does not ask everyone to do big things. But He invites everyone to do small things with great love. A small act of kindness. A patient response when you could react with anger. A generous choice when you could choose yourself first. A forgiving heart when it would be easier to stay hurt. These things may look small, ordinary, unnoticed. But they are not small to God. Because love is never wasted. Kindness is never invisible to God. Mercy is never meaningless. Because the kingdom of God often grows quietly. Like seeds in the soil. Like light in darkness. Like hope in difficult times. Slowly. Silently. Patiently. Often unseen. But never useless. Sometimes you may never see the results. Sometimes you may never know the impact. But every act of love changes something. Every act of mercy brings light. Every act of goodness pushes back darkness. Pope Francis reminds us. Every Christian is a missionary. Not by obligation. But by love. Not by pressure. But by encounter. Not by force. But by witness. Because people may not always listen to sermons. But they always notice love. Sometimes the strongest way to share the gospel is simply to live it. To be patient in an impatient world. To be kind in a harsh world. To be honest in a dishonest world. To be peaceful in a divided world. Because your life may be the only gospel someone ever sees. Your kindness may be someone's proof that God cares. Your compassion may be someone's first experience of God's love. So never say, I cannot change the world. Because with God, every act of love changes the world a little. And that is how the gospel spreads. One heart at a time. One act of love at a time. One life at a time. Because you do not need a stage to be a missionary. You only need a heart willing to love. Part 6. Love is stronger than evil. It is easy to feel discouraged. Easy to feel tired. Easy to believe nothing will change. To think goodness is losing. To wonder if kindness still matters. Because sometimes the world can feel heavy. Full of bad news. Full of conflict. Full of suffering. Full of injustice. Sometimes it feels like darkness is louder than light. Like anger is louder than love. Like evil is stronger than goodness. And in those moments, hope can feel very far away. But Christian hope says something different. Christian hope says darkness never has the final word. Love is stronger. Mercy is stronger. Light is stronger. Goodness is stronger. Not always louder. Not always faster. But always stronger. Because light does not fight darkness with noise. Light simply shines. And darkness disappears. That is how God's love works. Quiet. Faithful. Persistent. Even when progress is slow. Even when results are invisible. Even when appreciation never comes. Even when nobody notices. Even when you feel like giving up. Because no act of love is ever wasted. No kindness disappears. No sacrifice is forgotten. No mercy is meaningless. Every act of love becomes part of God's work. Every hidden sacrifice matters. Every unseen kindness matters. Every silent prayer matters. A smile you give today may heal someone tomorrow. A kindness you show today may restore someone's hope. A word of encouragement may stop someone from giving up. You may never know the impact, but God does. The cross of Christ shows us this truth. What looked like defeat became victory. What looked like darkness became salvation. What looked like the end became a new beginning. This is why Christians never lose hope. Not because life is easy, but because love already won. And every time we choose love, we share in that victory. Every time we forgive, every time we help, every time we choose kindness, every time we choose peace instead of revenge, light enters the world again. You may not change the whole world, but you can change someone's world. You may not fix everything, but you can bring light somewhere. And that is how God transforms the world. Not only through big events, but through ordinary people choosing extraordinary love. So never underestimate goodness. Never underestimate kindness. Never underestimate your ability to love. Because with God, love is never weak. Love is never wasted. Love is never defeated. Because in the end, love is stronger than evil. Mercy is stronger than hatred. Light is stronger than darkness. And goodness always has the final word. Final conclusion. So the question is not simply, do we have faith? The question is, does our faith love? Does our faith serve? Does our faith bring hope? Because the world does not need more Christians in name. It needs Christians in action. People who prove love is possible. Forgiveness is possible. Kindness is possible. Hope is possible. You may never change the whole world, but you can change someone's world. Through love. Through compassion. Through faith lived with courage. And this is the social dimension of evangelization. Faith that becomes justice. Faith that becomes mercy. Faith that becomes love. Your faith becomes real when your love becomes visible.